Here's to the crazy ones, the rebels, the troublemakers, the ones who see things differently. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Okay, so that was pretty great, I think. And of course, as one of the crazy ones, one of my clients told me I break every rule of statistical analysis, but obviously I don't. Right? Nothing could be farther from the truth. I found that out from a University of UCLA, UCLA statistics professor. He said, "John, you don't break the rules. You have higher standards." Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about some retail approaches that were taken through the pandemic. Walmart, Home Depot, and Kohl's. Walmart, U.S. business, same store sales grew by 10%. Ticket size grew by 16.5%. E-commerce sales skyrocketed by 74%. Walmart made major changes and major innovations to the way they fulfilled their curb pickup, their I don't know if they had delivery or not. I think they just did curb pickup. But the bottom line was people made fewer trips but spent more. They figured out a way to change and to stay open. They were allowed to stay open. But Home Depot, on the other hand, same store sales grew by 6% and first quarter revenue by 7% over last year. But the company said the coronavirus-related costs were a huge drag. It spent $850 million on employee benefits to keep the stores humming. So they just paid people more, not as much innovate. And the ugly, Kohl's. Kohl's, and I know about this, and I was so upset because, well, for one, my son had worked there for 5 years or something, and they got lots of public pressure in Wisconsin. People were on the news saying, "I don't understand why Kohl's is still open. This is a crisis. Kohl's should shut down. This is terrible. Why is Kohl's still open? They're just after the money." But, what's to say that a watermelon is more important than a pair of pants or a pair of shoes or something else you might need? You can go to the dollar store. The dollar store is a tight little cramped store. I went there for a couple of things. But you couldn't go to Kohl's and get the stuff you wanted. So their sales were down 43%, cut in half, right? Oh, it's easy to quit. It's easy to just say, "Oh, we're getting a lot of public pressure. Let's just close down." And Kohl's reopened about half of its stores. The company CEO says, "We're made for social distancing because we're big and we're not in the malls." Oh, yeah? You should be fired. If I were a shareholder of Kohl's, I would demand that you're fired. You think that Cambridge University announced they're not going to open for the entire 2021 year. The University of California system, which is, I think, the biggest college system in America, announced they're not going to have anybody on campus. You think that everybody closed, but not one. There was one place where students were allowed to return, and that was Liberty University. Will return to the Evangelical Virginia campus. The mayor, I found article after article after article from mid-March. Now, the mayor of Lynchburg said, "Reckless decision." And that was all over the news. They invited students back, and immediately there was a story that 12 students had symptoms that could be coronavirus. It turned out that I think they had one case, one positive, and that student was not on campus, was an online student. Marketers have been playing with buzzwords for the 30 years I've been involved in it. When I got started, direct marketing wasn't even a thing hardly. Direct mail was a thing. And I learned direct mail. And then the Direct Mail Marketing Association changed their name to Direct Marketing. And they started talking about how everybody who got any kind of response, a measurable response to their ad, was a direct marketer. And so all of a sudden everybody was a direct marketer, which meant no one knew what they were doing. And all kinds of direct marketing experts blossomed, like one-to-one marketers. And that was a lie. That was a buzzword, great buzzword, one-to-one marketing. We still don't do one-to-one marketing. Don't believe them. Okay? And then we got database marketing. And most people didn't know what a database was. They just wanted their customer file on a list that they could get counts from. And we could have done that all along. Another buzzword, right? And then we got to big data. When the internet came along, there was all this data. We could measure all the data. Data. It was all about big data. And then it turned out that the more big data you have, the more spurious correlations you have. If you can even analyze it, because you have to have a big data analytics tool. So we sold more software. Big promises. Not unless you could do something with it. And so my book, Spinning Straw into Gold, is about how people don't know how to make money with data. And they still don't. Right? And then business analytics, BI, came along. We needed BI to deal with big data. And then, of course, AI came along. BI, then AI. And now, you see that 80% of companies up, last summer, it was up in the high 80s, plan to do an AI marketing system. And there's going to be trillions of dollars to gain. And, I did a few talks on how you without attribution in digital, you can't even get a labeled data set to get it to work. And then we see article after article the last 3 years about how 87%, that's from Forrester or Gartner, both of them came out and said 87% or thereabouts or higher of the marketing AI projects don't even get to ROI. And so we offered AI ROI in 90 days, which we're still offering if you want to do it. And the fact is, people don't understand any of these things. And yet it gets to be the buzzwords in the news. Just like people didn't know how the coronavirus was transmitted. So you could shut down your store. You could listen to the state who said everybody has to shut down. It turns out that sheltering at home, according to a Spanish study, just came out, that the people at home were more likely to get coronavirus than the people who went back to work. I said that about myself. In my home, my son was there, and he was out meeting people, and they had their first corona positive test just this week at his factory. Now, it's a huge spread out place, and he's a welder, so he's kind of off by himself. So I'm not worried, and he's not worried. But the fact is, his chances of getting coronavirus are hundreds of times higher than my chances being at the office. My best chance is being at home with him, because we know he actually, is in, and he's also in Milwaukee every day, so his chances are much better, and bringing it back. So almost everything you've heard is wrong in marketing. So now let's think different. Let's think different. We've gone head-to-head with 8 different modeling companies, statistical, analytical modeling companies around the world, and beat them all. The average was about 60% win on gross margin per piece. How about that? And this was with a cataloger that was printing 500,000 pieces or dropping 500,000 pieces per. Big tests, big uniques tests. We just finished. The results all came out in 2020. So it's right up to date through the coronavirus. The average was about 175% beat their segmentation system. Be careful who you listen to. Dare to be different. Listen to the crazy ones. I'm John Miglosh. Like and share. Your friends will think you're smart. Bye-bye.